Yeah, we kind of love Ray. Ray. We'll keep Ray. He's a good egg.
Hey, it's Sean.
Good morning, everybody.
Yay.
Fine top of the morning to you, Sean.
Fine top of the morning to y'all. Let me go ahead and hit the record button.
How are you?
Fine top of the morning to y'all.
You know, Sean, I get the biggest kick sometimes seeing some of these kids, they're exercising as they're on this call. And the more that I see them exercising, the more I realize how much I enjoy doing all the heavy looking on.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I had the YouTube channel was feeding back on us, so yeah, it is neat to see them exercising. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Doing? It is February 29th, 2020. Today's conversation on the Daily Misfit Call, the Daily Awakening. I want to welcome everybody. It's going to be about words and the direction of words. A kind of interesting concept I got this morning in meditation.
Hello, friends.
Have that conversation. Let's see here. All right. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope everybody's doing amazing. Listen, as we get started, everybody come on in. You may want to invite some of your team to this call. Why? This is going to be a good one. I believe it'll be powerful for them because it's going to be about the power of the words. Now, we know the power of the words, but we're going to have a conversation about which direction do your words go? What? Yeah, this may be a little bit of an aha conversation for you. But as we get started, want to welcome everybody in. Want to welcome everybody in. Go ahead and send out your 3 messages. And when you send out your 3 messages, go ahead and hit done or type done or hit a D in the chat, right? Because I do want to hold you a little bit accountable. I do want to hold you a little bit committed to your words, committed to your vision, committed to your process. So let's see here. Chat, we got that. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Gisela. Good morning, everybody.
Great day, everyone. I'm grateful to be here with you all.
Good to have you here, Latoya. So let's have a conversation this morning about the power of words. So let me get over here. Where's it at? There it is. We all know the power of words. We all understand the power of words. But I may have some ideas for you this morning that would be that might be a little bit different, might be a little bit more interesting. Over here. And hold on a second. And if you're just joining us, welcome everybody. Go ahead and send out your 3 messages of joy, of gratitude to whomever you choose, whomever you want. And with that being said, hey, Ray, give me a nod. Can you see that screen? Can you see the presentation? Awesome. Words, which direction are your words going? Yeah, this you won't find in a book. Which direction are your words going? You see the sign underneath that, right? The background there? It says one way. Is that really the case when you have a conversation? Is that really the case when you're looking to present your opportunity to somebody? So let's take a look at some concepts. Do you know how words grow? How many of us have ever been in a conversation? How many of us have ever been in a meeting and somebody said something in the meeting and it kind of hit us a little sideways. It kind of hit us a little wrong. But then all of a sudden, we left the meeting. And we got madder. How many of you have ever left a meeting with somebody, left a conversation with somebody, and you got madder after you left the meeting? Type an M in the chat. Travis is raising his hands. Listen, how could you get madder? How could you get madder after the meeting's over? Because the words grew, didn't they? Didn't the thoughts grow? Just something grew, something got more. Follow me on that? Is that making sense? Because here's what I want you to grasp. When you have a conversation with your prospects, your words will grow. They will grow. If you're a manager and you've got employees, you've got people who report to you and you want to direct them. When they're having their coffee, your words will grow. If anybody works in an office, anybody ever have somebody come into the office and they're mad that somebody cut them off or mad about traffic? It's traffic. You invent the car, you invent traffic. You invent the car, you invent the car crash. That's all part of it. Why do people get upset with a thing that's not in the room? Because words grow. So then that begs this question. From where do your words take roots? Some of you read the Bible. Some of you are spiritual. Some of you believe in a higher power. Some of you believe that you have control over your destiny. Some of you believe that you can influence your morning. That's a belief. But where do the words that give your belief life, where do they come from? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about the tradition of your words? Have you ever thought about the origin of your words? It's one thing to say a word is from Greek dissension, from Greek mythology. It's from it's formulated from Greek. I know what I want to say, but I can't find the word. I do know that word, confused. Origin, that's the word I'm looking for, right? Is it Latin? Is it Greek? Where does it come from? Does it come out of Sanskrit? When you look at your words for money, when you look at your feelings for money, where's the roots of that conversation? 95, 96, 97% of what you believe was given to you. How many of you speak in a similar accent to your parents? How many of you have similar understanding, nomenclature, words you use in your language that are similar to your parents? Most of everything you have, most of everything you believe was given to you. Have you looked at the roots of your words? Now we're going to take this into the business side of this. We're going to walk this into your business presentation. It's important that you understand this because when you sit down across the table, there are two sources at the table. There's your source and there's their source. Sometimes that's oil and water. Vinegar and oil. They just, unless you shake them up, they don't mix. You can shake oil and water all you want. It's going to be kind of hard to get it to mix. So here's the next question. If you don't know where your roots of your words come from, then whose tree are you harvesting from? How many of us are kind of on a similar path, maybe a step ahead, maybe 2 steps ahead than our parents? Some of you have broken the generational challenges. Some of you have absolutely broken them. Others of you have incrementally grown. Some of you are just incrementally growing. Some of you, it's time to have a quantum leap, to leave far behind. How you get to this next point will be determined by how fast you can forget the first point. Some of you are worrying about incrementally growing. It's time for a quantum leap. And the quantum leap you're about to take happens already inside of you. It's about understanding the harvest you're about to have. The power of your life is in your words. How many of you are having conversations with prospects? How many of you are having conversations with prospects, trying to plant a flower in what Jim Rohn would say in the rocky soil, right? The story of the seed and the sower. You're going to sow some seeds. The rocks, some are going to fall on the rocks. They're not going to grow. Right? What's the other one? The birds will get some. The birds. What's your story? Where are the words of your story? Where are your words landing? Have you determined the environment that your words are landing on? Some of you get frustrated in this profession because you're talking to people who all they are is a bunch of rocks. My mother would say sometimes you're as smart as a box of rocks. Where are your words landing? If your words are supposed to take harvest, if your words are supposed to take root, what's the fruit you're throwing at them? What's the fruit you're sharing with them? The words of health. Now, here's the funny thing. I would lean towards being a winner on this bet. How many times does your presentation include the following words? Do you speak of words of health when you're talking about your business presentation? No, I'm here to talk business. And if you're going to build a business, open a store. Open a store and do your best to attract customers. If you're going to build in this profession, do you want to build a residual income? Then build a residual story. Make sure your words reside with them in everything they do. Listen, you can teach somebody how to get started to build a business, but if they've got just a messed up home life, your business doesn't have a chance. You're trying to build a business on rocks. You're trying to build a business on the edge of the sea. Tide will go out, great time to plant. Tide will come in. Well, I don't know what happened. They quit my business 30 days later, 60 days later, they quit your business because the tide came back in. You planted in the wrong spot. What's the words of the family? Yeah, but I'm talking to college kids. I'm talking to young entrepreneurs. I'm talking to young bucks who got the drive. Where are they driving? What are they driving? Who are they driving? How many people do you need in your business to win? How many people in your business are winning? See, this is the direction of words. When you understand which way each time you use words, which way that information is flowing, which way that feeling is flowing, which way that conversation is flowing, you may adjust some of the way you use your words. Where do words go? How many of you believe, type this in the chat, yes or no, or Y or N, how many of you believe that your prospects are sometimes scared? If you believe your prospects are a little scared when you have a conversation with them, type a Y in the chat. So if they're scared 100% of the time, listen carefully. Listen carefully. If they're scared 100% of the time, if they're scared some of the time, if they're scared 50% of the time, when you make them unscared, listen carefully. I need you to grasp this. Where did the scared words go? How many of you have ever seen somebody do a paint job on a house and they just painted over the old paint? They didn't sand it, they didn't scrape it, they didn't smooth it out. You can tell exactly where the last layer was. Back into their subconscious. So you get them all excited, you get them fired up. How many of you have gotten people fired up and they go, I'm in, I'm all in, I'm all in. You don't have to go sponsor one more person because I'm going to take you to the top. And then in 24 hours, they won't answer their phone. Have you ever asked yourself, if you're so great at your presentation, where do their scared words go? You hear me? I want this to sink in. This is why it's important for you to understand, what does that mean to you? How do you feel right now? Is that the way you felt when you sat down? What allowed you to have this transition of feeling? Some of you are brilliant at shoving words into the garbage can in their brain called their crappy past life, and shoving it in there and wrapping it up with saran wrap and tin foil and shrink wrap and then duct taping it and putting a canvas around it. And oh man, we got those things locked up. Those words ain't coming out. Those words are growing. Those words are growing inside of them. And what happens is there's an explosion of fear and doubt that happens in them, and they disappear, never to be seen again. And you know what they're looking for? Listen carefully. Here's the hard part. You know what they're looking for? Somebody to listen. And a lot of times, guess who's going to listen to them? Listen carefully. Guess who's going to listen to them? Somebody else who wants to prospect. I'm not looking to prospect people. I'm looking to plant people. I'm not looking to swing a pickaxe at them and chip them out of what they believe is their old story. I'm here to figure out, how do we water them? How do we fertilize them? Listen, do we fertilize orange trees different than we do corn? Do we fertilize house plants different than we do oak trees? The answer to that's yes. Why? Because they're growing differently. Do you know how to fertilize your people? Do you know how to bring them life? Do you know how to adjust the soil so it's just right so they can live in it, called their life? Y'all have got a great script, I'm sure. There's absolutely no doubt. Pay attention. Where do their words go when you're having a conversation? Moving with your words. Here's a quote. Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. We heard Ray talk about that not too long ago. We heard Manny talk about that not too long ago. The words that ran in their heads, the words that they said that kept them from their friends, the words that they were talking in their head for years. All of this to say, be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. Everything that's ever been said to you, everything you've ever said has been recorded in your brain. That which you repeat on a regular basis becomes permanent. And if 60 to 70,000 thoughts are running through your head on a regular day, you're conscious of 3,000 to 5,000 thoughts, and 90% of our thoughts are repeats from yesterday. Why do you think it's possible that when we have a conversation, if we do a one-on-one, if we talk to each other and I ask you about some things, we're going to wind up with some childhood story that has left a scar in you? There's something you've been covering up. You've been covering it up yourself, hoping nobody sees it, hoping nobody hears it, until all of a sudden you share it, until all of a sudden you put that story out there, and it becomes inspiration to people, like Heather's story of 3 years in a Colombian prison. You talking about being scared. You sitting across from a prospect saying, listen, I'm learning. I've got a great team of people who are guiding me, moving me along. Is it okay we have a conversation that fits into your world? Conversation. You know what? I think it was Mark Twain said, the problem with dialogue is most people think they have one. All too often, these conversations that people have are two monologues that happen to bump into each other. How many of you, and you can answer this if you choose, how many of you have ever sat in a conversation, they said something, it triggered a story in you, and you couldn't wait for them to stop talking so you could tell your story? How many of you know somebody like that? Oh my gosh, I can't. Oh, I have a story just like theirs. What? Remember, what does the brain do? Listen, what does the brain do? It looks at two things only. At its subconscious level, will this kill me? Or how fast can I recognize the pattern? And what do we want to do? What do we want to do? We want to be able to go, oh my God, I can't wait for them to shut up. I've got a story that's better than that. Let alone if you're in a group of 3 people, 4 people. And maybe you're not the one that's gregarious. Maybe you're not the one that's as outgoing as some of the other people. Maybe you're not the one that needs their validation card punched to say that you are valid in this conversation. And you just know that when they show up in the conversation, somehow, some way, the story's always going to be about that. What if every one of your prospects loved to sit across the table from you? Some of you have sat on airplanes, not said a single word, and people have fallen in love with you. They absolutely, oh my God, this is the best conversation I've ever had on a plane. You've said nothing. If you were to count the amount of minutes as you sit down for your next presentation, you sit down for your last presentation, out of a 30-minute presentation, how much time did you talk? In a 30-minute presentation, if you spoke more than 10 minutes, they're not buying. Well, I don't know how to get them to talk. Power of your words. Let's go figure out some other things, some other kind of way to have a dialogue back and forth. But if you're in a 30-minute presentation, listen, you can be standing in the front of the room and you're the one in front of the room doing a presentation. You can still have them talk. How many questions do you ask when you're in the front of the room doing a presentation? If you're not asking a question a minute, pack it up. Your retention is going to be through the floor, not through the roof. So what does a conversation look like? Who's conversing? Where's the give and take in your dialogue? Do you have that into your presentation? Do you have your opening remarks? Do you have their responses to what makes them excited, to what makes them engaged? What is the exchange policy you have in your information? Are you 100% sure? Listen, you're in a training mode. When you're doing a prospecting presentation, you're in a training mode. If I've got somebody who's interested in the business, I don't do a presentation and then get them signed up in the business. They're signed up in the business, and the presentation is a training exercise. How many of you have been taught, listen, you know what, Kevin, listen, we're going to sit down here and have a conversation for the next 30 minutes. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you at finding? I don't know if this is the one. You know what, I probably doubt this is even the one. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you in finding a business that's going to sustain you and help you take care of your dreams? Oh, I'm all in, I'm a 10. So could we just make an assumption for the next 30 minutes? That if we're going to have a conversation, you're already in the business. I want you to look at how your business you're looking for. Do you want a simple model or a model that's non-duplicatable? A model that only requires you to do all of the effort? No, I'd like a duplicatable effort. Great. So if we spend some time here, the next 20, 30 minutes, I need you to be asking yourself, and maybe I'll even ask you as well, could you do what I'm doing? And in the next 20 minutes, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you, do you see how you can leverage this business model? And that should be the confirmation for you to get started. Does that make sense? What is the assumption you have when you sit down with a prospect? That you're going to educate them? You're not going to educate them unless they what? Want to be educated. listen, if we're going to have a conversation, I'm going to show you my business model. But here's the thing, right at the end of this presentation, would you like a business model that you could instantly get started with? Or do you think you need to, there's a learning curve? How many business models have you looked at in the past require you to have a learning curve? All of them. So if I share something with you in the next 20 minutes and you see you could do it, would it be okay if you got started and I could help you through the next 2 or 3 times you do this? But I need you to see how simple this is, because if you can do what I could do, guess what you could do? You could have what I have. Is it okay for us to get started? See, if you're not setting up the presentation so they can win, guess what they're thinking? I can't do that. Guess what you get to say during the whole exchange policy of information? Do you see how that makes sense in this business? Doesn't matter even if it's the product. Y'all follow me on this? Does this make sense? Why are you sitting down? Listen, my daddy said this, the only reason you ever do a presentation, somebody write this down, the only reason you do a presentation is so they can tell you how they want to get started. You're not you're not a teacher, you're not paid by your public school district. Why are you being an educator? You're a business entrepreneur. Teach them how to start a business. Listen, Kern, I don't know if this business is going to be for you or not. Probably not. All I know is this. I'm going to spend 20 minutes with you, and I want to make sure that if you're looking at a business, you need to be able to see exactly what I'm about to do with you is the business presentation. Everything I'm about to do to you is the business presentation. This is a training. I'm going to assume you're already in, so we're going to have business 101. I'm going to walk you through it. And if at any moment something seems totally out of whack, something that you couldn't do, I'm going to check in with you. Do you think you could do that? I could. Because if you say I could, I would, I will, I should, by the end of the presentation, guess what you have? You have a business. And you've just enrolled me to go help you build your business. Is that okay if we spend the next 20 minutes talking about how you can maybe, possibly find the thing you've been looking for? Based on that right there, just that sentence, just that concept, how many of you believe you can go absolutely have a lot more fun in your business? This is about you taking care of you. And what if they were actually, because you're going to talk about words they never heard. You're going to talk about things they never done. You're going to talk about things they can't even imagine they could do. But if they're sitting there thinking, oh, this is my training, I can do this, I'm already in, this is the thing that's going to work for me, as opposed to your conversation being, I got it, you ain't got it. Education. Who's doing the education? Are you trying to show them how smart you are? What are they doing? What are they doing there in the classroom? They're raising their hand. Some of you got kids you got some of your prospects going to the principal's office because they ain't participating. They don't even want to be in your classroom. They're being talked down to. They're being talked at. They're being reminded that they don't even belong in this class. I'm a farm boy from Ohio, 0.9 grade point average. How many people do you think I'm about to have a conversation with that have done maybe as good or a hell of a lot better than me? I don't sit there and say, listen, I've stood on stage in 30 plus countries. I've been translated in over 40 languages. I have 3 #1 best-selling books. My trainings throughout the industry have created almost about $2 billion in retail sales. That's about 400 million, 500 million in commissions that have been put in people's pockets. You should sit your ass down and listen to me. I'm a farm boy from Ohio, 0.9 grade point average. Grew up on a farm, beef cattle, threw hay in the summer, 6,000 bales of hay in the summer. And man, I look forward to school, not because I was smart, because they had air conditioning. Which one of those stories would you rather have a conversation? Listen, you're already in the front of the room having the conversation. You're already the one with the pen in your hand. You are already, you're so far ahead of them. They got to feel they can sit next to you. If you take one of my presentation courses, I actually show you how you can change the table so that you can have a conversation. I show you how to sit with people, how to have a conversation with people, how to move the things on the table so it makes it easier for them, so their subconscious feels more at ease. How many of you have arranged the table you sit at, the items on the table that you sit at? How many of you have ever, the way you put your phone on the table? You probably haven't been taught. Folks, this is all about making life easier for them. Listen, they're only going to say one or two things. Here's another thing I'll share with you. Here's another nugget. You sit down with the prospect. I sit down with Kern and I say, hey, Kern, listen, we're going to have a conversation for the next 20, 30 minutes. I'll check in along the way. But here, can we agree on something? Is it okay if we agree on something at the end? A yes is fine. A no is fine. A not right now is fine. But maybe, can we agree that maybe is out the window right now? Because if maybe's the answer, maybe's a possibility, then maybe we should just end this now. See, too many of you are too worried about them hearing your story. Too many of you are so worried about that. I need them. I got to get them. Maybe you should go home and practice more. Nobody's going to pay you for a practice. They're going to pay you to perform. Maybe your presentations, you're not there yet. Your presentation skills aren't to the level of performance. You're still practicing. That's what you've got all of these other people on the team for. You should be practicing with your team. And then you can go perform for your community. Coaching. Do you know what sport you're coaching? Seriously, do you know what sport you're coaching? At least if somebody said to you, listen, did you ever play baseball? Yeah, I played baseball when I was little. Good. Could you coach the T-ball team? Because you played baseball once. How come? Could you go coach the major leagues right now? Well, no, I'm not qualified. How many times have you coached people in your life? How many times have you coached fear in your life? How many times have you coached stress in your life? You've had it. Doesn't mean you're qualified to coach it. Doesn't mean you're qualified to mentor it. Do you understand the subtle cues? Do you understand subconscious cues? Do you understand the micro expressions? See, I love what this profession can do for people. Sometimes I get really frustrated what it does to people. You get enrolled and all of a sudden you think you can prospect. It's why it's so valuable, the ignorance on fire. They see your enthusiasm, your God within, your spirit within, and they'll go, whatever you got, I want. It's when you think you get smart, when you think you get cute, and you learn some words, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. I hope it doesn't. You think you get smart and you start to learn the nomenclature of your business. You learn the ingredients of your product. You learn the ways of your compensation plan. You know what people need to know about their compensation plan? Is here's what you get on retail. And if you put somebody in, we'll show you how you create some residual income. That's it. If they ask you, well, how do I get paid? Very well. Why do you ask? Oh, well, we got 8 levels of compensation, and then we've got retail, we've got commission, we've got internet. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You guys spend 20, 30 minutes in your presentation on the compensation plan because you want the money. They don't. They want somebody to say, I got your back, baby. I got you, boo. I got you, boo. Am I allowed to say that? They don't need to know the comp plan. Now listen, some of your uplines are going to go, that's, don't listen to him again. You know what? You're right. I'm rich. Let's move on. Man, nobody needs to know your ingredients. Well, I need to know where the factory is. Let me ask you, if I tell you where the factory is, you ready to get started? Well, I need to know what the ingredients are. Now, if they've got some health conditions, here's the ingredient list. Take them to your doctor. What do you think the doctor's going to say? You don't have a chance. Why are you trying to convince somebody? What's that say? A man convinced against his will is of the same mindset still. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You have a social platform that allows you to reach out to people around the world. There's 370 million people in the United States. Why are you worrying about Aunt Sally? Why are you worried about Aunt Sally? You have people who are absolutely waiting on you. Your vibe, you've already got a vibe. You can go find your tribe. What if you were only allowed to talk to mom with 2 kids? If you got 2 kids, you're only allowed to talk to moms with 2 kids. You want to really make it niche? You're only allowed to talk to moms who have blonde hair with 2 kids. Why? Well, because mom with blonde hair and 2 kids, y'all got a story. Y'all got a story. Why are you trying to go recruit people who can't even imagine sitting at a dinner table with you? How many people, why are you trying to go recruit people you wouldn't sit at a dinner table with them? You're just trying to get their check. Ouch. Where's their belief? Some of y'all running over people. You're just running over people. Their belief is so low in themselves, but they put on a good front. They put on a good front. They look strong. They dress the part. Man, they're broken inside. They're broken inside, and you're running over them. You're crushing them up into little pieces. I got them. I educated them. Woo, I was good on that. Man. Did they get started? Did they get started? Have you given them enough courage to raise their hand just a little bit and say, yes, I want a little more. Yes, I'm capable. Yes, I believe in me. They don't need to believe in you. What do they need to believe in you for? You ain't going to lift their weights. You're not going to put their people in, although you do, and that's why your business gets stuck at a level, because you're doing everything for everyone. You're doing everything for everyone. Oh, let me do the presentation for you. Let me do the prospecting for you. Let me tell you where you go find people. If they're hungry, they'll find people. What you know what you're not doing? Giving them the hunger. You're not letting them be hungry. You keep feeding them. And if they're not coming to you to be fed, guess what they're getting fed? The same old crap that got them there. Listen, what got you here? What got all of us here? Success is the best failure. Nothing fails like success. What got you through yesterday ain't going to get you through today. And if you're using what you did yesterday at any moment in your day today, you're stuck where you're at. That's why I ask you, change the way you dry yourself off from the shower. Wake up different in the bed. If you ain't changing your day, your days aren't changing. Where's their belief level? What if your job was to, principle of Kaizen, 1/10 of 1%, to build them a little bit more confidence. And when you build them confidence, are you building skyscrapers or little huts and shacks that the second the wind blows, it gets blowed over? Which are you building? Y'all, this is going to hurt. This is an awakening. Where's your foundation? How tall is your building? There's only 2 ways to have the tallest building in town. Build yours bigger, tear everybody else's down. What are you doing in your presentation? What are you doing in your presentation? Man, nothing excites me more than when my team rank advances faster than I do. Because you know what? I'm building big buildings. I'm building big buildings. I'm building me a damn city. What are you building? You trying to build you the tallest skyscraper in town? I'm going to tell you, It's easy to look down. It's easy to look down. And guess what's going to happen? Those other little shacks that you built that got you to your skyscraper ain't going to stand up. They ain't going to stand up. Where do you spend your time in your conversation? Which parts of these slides in your presentation, if I were to look at your presentation and I were to look at the words and I were to look at the feelings, where's it spending its time? Is it spending it on the money, on the money, on the money, on the money? Is it spending it about Lamborghinis and bikinis? What's the assumptions that you're making? What are the assumptions that you're making in your presentation? That they're interested? How many of you have ever been unemployed and you had to go get, in order to keep your unemployment, you had to say you were searching for a job? How many times are people saying, yep, I went looking for an opportunity. Yeah, none of them fit me. They weren't even interested in your opportunity. They just wanted to say, they were somewhere in their subconscious, they said, yep, I'm looking, but see, the world's not in my favor. The world's not out there to take care of me. The world's not just, man, I went and looked. I looked at 3 opportunities today. And you say, I talked to 3 people today. They weren't looking. Maybe they were. You just made it easy for them to look the other way. Ooh. Listen, you all have amazing hearts. I know this. This is why I'm sharing this. And listen, your upline, your coaches, people all the time tell me, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're slowing down my business when you talk this crap. That's where you're worried about a check. If you were only given one field, let me ask you this. If you were only given one field of 40 acres and you were going to have to plant in it for the next 6 generations, would you take care of the soil? Would you take care of the soil? Some of you aren't taking care of your soil on your team. You want to. You hope you can. You're going to have to sit down a little bit. You're going to have to slow down a little bit. You're just going to have to spend a little bit of time with people to make sure that some of them are going to grow faster than others. Some of you are growing bamboo, and that's awesome. Some of you are bamboo, and you're about to break out. Some of you have already broken out, but some of you are about to break out. Just know what season you're in. Know what you're planting. Know what you're growing. Right? You all know the bamboo story, right? What, 3 to 5 years underground, then you can watch it grow a foot a day. How much of the person enrolls with you? How much of the person enrolls with you? Are you enrolling their checkbook? Are you enrolling the pain that's around their checkbook? Or are you enrolling their heart and their family and their history and their legacy? Talked to a gentleman the other day. We were leaving the hotel. He was bringing the bags down, Brandon. And great conversation was going on with him. And I said, hey, Brandon, could I ask you a question? What are you doing all this for? We have 2 jobs. What are you doing all this for? The money. No, the money? I get that. But what are you doing with the money? You gambling it? No, I'm putting it away. I said, for who? Well, for my wife. I said, awesome. I said, you got any youngins? He said, yeah, 2 of them. I said, what are their names? He said, Isabella and Olivia. I said, let me ask you this. What if this conversation right now, what if this conversation between you and me, Brandon, right now, and this group, Rhonda and Patricia, what if this conversation was the one that paid for your daughter's tuition? His eyes lit up. His eyes lit up. I said, what if on January 27, 2020, you had a conversation that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt was the conversation that allowed you to ensure your daughters could attend any university in the world that they wanted. We got some time, right? I don't think they're going to college next year. He said, no, they're young. I said, what if this was the conversation? Would you pick up the phone the next time we called you or I called you? Would you spend some time really diving into that? How long would you spend? How much time would you invest in finding out a way that if this is that meeting to pay for your daughter's college education? How long would you spend figuring out if this was the right one, the real one? He'd say, I'd spend as long as it takes. I said, great, that's a good answer. You got my attention. We'll see you soon. Did y'all hear that? I'm a farm boy from Ohio. My point is that you don't need to know no complaint. You don't need to know no ingredients. You don't need to know how long we're in business. We'll get to all of that. But I got his attention. Remember point A, interest, point B, action. Some of y'all don't get enough attention at point A to get them into action in point B. But you can. You can. How much of your person quits from you? Ooh, let's go back to that. How much enrolls? You enroll them in your check. How much quits? All of them. All of the person quits. All of the person quits. If you're only enrolling them with what part of the person, it's easy for the rest of the person to quit. How much of you gets hurt? All of you gets hurt. All of your soul gets hurt, your heart, your emotions. Your presentation, does it create doubt or remove doubt? Does it create doubt or remove doubt? Oh man, I educated the hell out of them. I told them everything. Woo! They know exactly what I know now. Great. How's that working for you? And then we can go into the family story and relation, all of this stuff. Here's my question for you. What'd you learn? What'd you like? If you got a question, go ahead and raise your hand. Do the little hand thing, a little orderly. But what'd you learn? What'd you like? Type it in the chat. And here's what I do know. Listen carefully. There's a pattern that's happening. The videos that are up on YouTube, the views are going way down. Listen, I could care less. I'm just awakening you to a pattern that is absolutely accountable and measurable. Some of the videos had 70, 80 views. Now they got 14. You know what that tells me? We're reaching a point. Some of you are here 20 days. Some of you are here 18 days. And it's getting to the point to where you're breaking a pattern and the old pattern starts to show up. And you're like, I'm not going to the YouTube channel. I'm not rewatching that. I'm not making comments. I'm not doing screenshots. I'm not posting it up. I posted it every day on Instagram that I'm on this call. Hey, listen, I'm only responsible to you, not for you, but I see the pattern. The patterns are happening. I'm watching this. This is how I track your success. My Instagram, the number was up 600, 700 a week. The numbers, right? That follow you. Now it's down to 300. That's okay. Listen, I'm not getting paid in Instagram. What I do get paid with is the world a better place? And evidently, I got to get better to keep y'all's attention. I've posted out 3 comments on him. I've taken screenshots of him. I posted like 15 times on him on Instagram. Awesome. How long does it take to grow a redwood tree? Okay, Manny. Hey, Manny, how are you? Let's go with Manny on line 1.
Good morning, Sean. How are you, sir?
Outstanding, brother. How are you?
I'm doing spectacular. Listen, I'm going to post you for the rest of my life. I'm going to post you every single day forever, man. Man, this call was, I don't rewatch your calls, to be honest.
No, I get it.
This is one call I'm going to rewatch about 20 times. this call was super, 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 super powerful.
Awesome.
And it actually has me excited to like go into the field. Like I'm ready to just like conversate with people. It's crazy because it's just like a mindset shift as when you go, like you say, the power of words, to where just the thought of probably going up to someone is kind of nerve-wracking. And simply after this call, I'm excited to just have fun. So I absolutely loved every single second of this call, Sean. And I am so happy and grateful for you.
I appreciate you, brother.
And
Yeah, so,
I just wanted to share something. Yesterday on Nano's call, he said that you told him about the hourly alarm.
yep.
So I downloaded the app. I did it all day yesterday for about 12 hours. And yesterday was probably the best day of my life.
Yeah, don't do that
Every,
again. Don't ever do that again.
every single hour, I have I think it's called Chime, and it says it is 7 o'clock, it is 8 o'clock, it is. So every time I hear the voice, I just go on a rampage of appreciation. And yesterday I was just so full of joy all day. And I was thankful for my fingers and my hands and my taste buds and my eyesight and my toes. And it was absolutely powerful. And I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm so happy and grateful to have come across you, because you have made an intangible impact in my life.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you, Sean.
You bet, Manny. Hey, listen, thanks for making the world a better place. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see some of the smiles you put into the world. I'm sure somebody will walk through my life today with that. So thanks for the smile. So the reason that we check in every hour, the reason that you want to check in every hour, listen, if you've ever had somebody in your family who is in critical condition in the hospital, what did they say they were doing? Somebody typed the word. What did they say they were doing? If somebody was in critical condition in the hospital and the doctors came out and they said, listen, they're critical right now. It's touch and go. It can go either way, but we're checking their vitals. We're monitoring them. They're like watching them like a hawk. Listen, you're going to spend the next 30 years, 40 years. You're either going to say, glad I did or wish I had. Glad I did or wish I had. And the next 30 years are made up of the next hours of your life. Wouldn't you be checking your freaking vital signs every hour? Am I feeling good? Did I move closer to my goal or farther away? Is this how I want to feel? Is this the feeling I have? Is this what success feels like to me? Is this no? Or you're going to it'll be 2023 and you're like, this is the year I start journaling. What the hell? What happened in the last 3 years? You know, the hardest thing about prospecting somebody of my age is the freaking story of lack that talk. They could be wildly successful, but they don't have a relationship with their kids. They could have an amazing family life, but man, they missed out on that one deal. And you're trying to tell them how you're going to fix the world. Why don't you tell them how their story's okay? And the next moment is the only thing they have control over. And the past is everything is locked in stone, and half of it doesn't even make sense because you make the crap up. We make up 50% of our memory. We don't quite hear it all the way. How many of you with your brothers and sisters argue about a moment in time? You go, no, that's not how it was. Yes, this is how it was. And the both of you are telling the same truth story, but you both saw it from a different way, and both of them are a lie. It's not even the real story. When you take time, have a dialogue with someone. Listen, you'll be amazed. I don't know how you think you're so good at being able to enroll somebody in 45 minutes. My biggest teams in my 22 years of history, the fastest it took to enroll was 3 years. The fastest. But guess what? They're still in it. So, Brittany, let's go to Brittany on line 6. Hey, Brittany, what's your question? Good morning.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Um, I like, so this is just so crazy to me because I've been in the business for about a year and I never wanted to present. Like, I would do the introduction, from here times, just, a couple times, but I was like, I don't like this structure. Like, I don't like this structure. We're not getting a lot of engagement. And I've been asking myself, like, okay, because this isn't my presenting style. And I think that like this call literally just spoke to me because yesterday I sat and brainstormed for like an hour. Like, okay, how can I present to get engagement? How can I present to get involvement? How can I present where people feel like they got a lot of value and not just talk to? Because in this time we hear so many people talking about things all day, like on social media, on YouTube, just literally all the time, people talking about things that they, feel qualified to talk about. So I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And then I happened to call today. And it's crazy because I was literally like still asleep, but I had it on speaker and you were talking. I was like, oh my God, like he's literally answering the question that like I've been asking. So what did I learn? I learned how to finally genuinely and authentically connect with people in a group setting, as well as informing them where it didn't seem like they were coming to like a workshop or like some type of TED talk or something, And then like what did I like? I think what I liked best was like the just literally the I guess that would this be like my aha moment? I guess like like what I liked was that like um the fact that there are possibilities, and like I said in the chat, I think a lot of people was like, oh, you know what, I don't want to do the network marketing part. It's not that they don't necessarily want to do it, because they want to do it because they see other people doing it and succeeding. They just don't know how to do it. We've been so trained to like duplicate. That's what I was saying, to be carbon copies of our upline or people who are out there and talking. Like we all want to talk. We want to get on our social media and we want to talk like Gary Vee. We want to talk like, you know what I'm saying? Like whoever. And but it's like, talk like yourself. Like be yourself and connect with people with your personality while still inspiring, motivating, giving them the information and letting them know. So I really, really like that. So I just wanted to say like, thank you. Like I can't wait to put on an event now. Like I literally can't wait so I can test it out and see how it goes. And I'm ready to take this show on the road.
Well, Brittany, I applaud you for that. I congratulate you for that. So I'll leave you. I'll ask you to take this little bit with you. The conversation that happens before the presentation makes the presentation the next logical step. If we're having people come to an event and they're not already convinced that they have an opportunity to make their life better, the presentation isn't going to do it. So set people up. Whoever's coming to your event, who's ever inviting guests, whether you're doing all the invitation or not, you always get to ask that one question when they agree to come to the event. But some of y'all are too afraid to do this. I'm going to share with you, your business will change. So if Brittany says, yeah, I'm coming to the event, I go, Brittany, I'm so excited. Do me a favor before I leave here. Tell me why you'd want to come spend an event and listen to my dear business partner, Brittany, have a conversation. And you'll just watch their brain go, see, I'm setting them up for point B when it's time to take action. So they know what they're looking for at point A once they get to the event. So when point B comes at the end of the event, they know why they're going to take action because we already set it up. Some of you are waiting for the presentation to do the work. The work's got to be done. The presentation needs to be the next logical step.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Okay, so hey, here's my event, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, yeah, I'll be there. I can't wait. Okay. you know, what about our conversation that we just had has you so excited to come?
Could be, or it's rather than at that point, the more clarity, the better. Listen, I know you're excited. Tell me why you chose. It's 2 days from now. Why is this going to still be on your calendar in 2 days?
Okay. My questions sound so forced. Yours sound so seamless. So it's like I practice them so they just come out with ease.
And that's why I want you to practice with each other.
Yeah.
You should call each other up on the phone. Hey, listen, and you say, listen, you want to come to my event? And they go, yeah. And you go, it sounds like you're committed to it. What vision do you see at the end of this event? What do you hope happens on Tuesday next week that you're going to say, man, I made a good decision. I made a good decision. And then you listen. Now remember, it's not the words. The words are 7%. It's the way I say it. I get in. Hey, listen, I'm excited that you're coming. Do me a favor. Help me understand. What's the benefit you're hoping that you get out of this event? I ain't still doing the presentation like, hey, tell me what you like out of the event. What are you hoping to get out of the event on Tuesday? You got to give them a chance because they're like, oh, crap, I haven't even thought about it. I got so excited. I don't even know what the hell's going on. Right? How many of us have said that? Oh my God, she's got me excited. Maybe I could see her walk to the front of the room. I hate to see her go, but I love to watch her leave, right? I mean, you have no idea why they're coming to the event. And when they don't show up, who gets hurt? We do. What do you think that does to your presentation at the event? You're so brilliant. I'm telling you, you guys are so amazing. Listen, I promise you, Ray, did we get any of this training when we were starting out in this business?
Not at all.
No, because everybody kept it a secret. I ain't teaching anybody but my team this stuff. Yeah, my team gets a little bit more. Actually, my team gets a lot more because they got more time with me. Listen, I don't know if she's on here. I don't see her on here. She got a little cough in her. Rhonda Bird Parker's not on here. But she's part of.
I was gonna ask about her. I haven't seen her like in 3 days.
Yeah, so she got a little wore out from the trip, but she's doing okay. I'll let everybody.
She can't keep up with Sean.
Well, then there's that. But you know, since Rhonda joined me in business, just to give you an idea, we have spent one-on-one time. Listen carefully. We have spent one-on-one time. Now, yeah, we've done some crazy trips, but that's kind of the way I make it. We've spent almost 135 hours together, and we haven't been in business together a year yet. How much time have you spent with your top leaders? You follow me? Somebody who just came on her team went with us. I spent 18 hours with that prospect, with that team member, with that business partner. 18 hours with somebody in her group. How much hours have you spent with people on your team, second level? Listen, it's a math game. I've said this from the very beginning. It's a math game. How much time do you spend in their ears and not their eyes? How much time do you get to spend in their eyes and not their ears? This making sense? You guys have an amazing platform. Ray and I didn't have these platforms growing up. Zoom. You got to get into their eyes. Stop being in their ears. How much time do you spend in the eyes of your prospect, not their ears? And if I were to look at your Instagram, that's all you're in my eyes. What are you selling me on in my eyes when I go look at your Instagram? How much of it is lifestyle? Oh, wow, they must be in horticulture. Every time I look at them, they're staring at a bush. They're staring at a tree. They must be into architecture. Every time I look, they're off of the gaze, pointing to a building. What are you selling? What are you selling? What are you in my eyes when I look at your Instagram? Well, they must be in weight loss. Look how sexy they are. I love you. I love you. Listen, the reason that you're here is because none of this is the same. That's that. I love you. This isn't the same stuff you get anyplace else. Maybe it's because you might get results that you never had anyplace else. You're good. You're amazing. We've got Latoya. Last question, last conversation with Latoya, and then I'm going to let you off to your amazing day.
All right. This is my first time coming to the end, right?
Yes,
I'm
it.
first. Okay, good. Good morning, by the way, everyone. So, oh my God, it left me the question. Oh, okay. My question is this. I'm gonna make it really quick. So I think what I was making a mistake. Profit to the world's largest markets. But this call was so intense because that highlighted me like, dang, I'm sounding like an educator. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like come to my classroom and I'm gonna show you how it's done. And people don't want to feel that way. So you had me do. I mean, I went through a whole paradigm shift, and I'm gonna just listen. But then I'll listen to other people how they say it as well. What do they use? But make it conversation wise. If that makes sense.
Say. Was there a question in there, or was that a statement?
I think it was more like a statement because I forgot
Okay.
actually what the question was I was going to ask.
So that's okay. So here's the thing.
Okay.
When somebody has a conversation with us, when somebody's sitting across the table from us,
Okay.
from what experience are they teaching? What experience are they conversing? Their experience. And since I didn't live your experience, listen, Latoya and I are going to sit down. Here's the entities that are sitting down. 54-year-old white male, Christian, farm boy, barely figure out his way out of a paper bag. And on the other side of the table is a 20-something African-American woman, life's experience of having to deal with racism and prejudice and fear and doubt and struggling in a man's world. And I'm going to say, hey, I got a solution for you. Well, from a 54-year-old white guy's perception, the world's easy. From a 20-something young entrepreneurial African-American woman, life ain't so easy. How do you think that pool of dialogue shows up? Will I ever be able to have a conversation where I understand, where I can comprehend, where I can actually say I lived that experience? Not a snowball's chance. So when I sit down with her, wouldn't it make sense that the trials and the tribulations and the struggles that she had, that has made her sharper, that has made her stronger, that says she's an equal sitting across the table from me, wouldn't it be good to enforce that? Wouldn't it be good to sit with a heart that's open to listen, to say, you're so much better at this than I am, and mean it? To sit across from her and say, how can I be of service? How can you put me to work? How can I go build a community for you that doesn't look like you, sound like you, walk like you? Look at you all that are on here. The one that's closest to me is Raymond Barbuto. How many 50-plus-year-old white guys are on this call? And maybe Ronnie Roy if he's on here. 3 out of what? 72. The rest of y'all are amazing souls. Here's the thing that's important. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. I don't want you to miss this. We're a community of psychographics, not demographics. If your team looks like you, talks like you, walks like you, acts like you, thinks like you, your team's done. Your team's done. Because the first time you have something that hits you hard in the soul, guess what? It's going to hit them hard in the soul, and y'all are going to quit on the same day. People talk about all the time, you need to create a business that runs 24 hours a day. Well, then you need to build internationally. I want a business that speaks 24 hours a day, a different language. The news that's happening in Costa Rica right now, they really don't care what's happening in the US. And us in the US don't care what's happening in Colombia or El Salvador, or Guatemala, or Honduras, or Panama. US has a crappy day. I got Colombia, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Panama, soon to be the Philippines, soon to be Ireland. They're all good. They're all good. They're good. And when they have a crappy day, the rest of them are picking it up. Y'all get me? How fast can you expand the psychographic of your team into new communities? There's people who are just like you. There's people who are struggling just like you. There's people who are successful just like you. There's people who want exactly what you want, but they don't look like you. They don't sound like you. They don't talk like you. And you know what? They need you. They need you to know that it's possible outside of their own demographic. They need you. No good? Yeah, Nino is expanding his psychographic. He's building his community. So there you go. Hope that's of value to you. Go make a comment. Go take a screenshot of this. Share it out on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you go. Go ahead and leave a comment on YouTube. Go ahead and leave a comment on YouTube. Share the link with folks. That's how you can help. That's how you can help. You pay the most precious thing you could ever do is your time. The rest of it is all good. There you go. Hey, love you too, Connie. Appreciate you so much. All right, folks.
Thank you, Sean.
Hey, Karen. Hey, Karen, what'd you learn? What'd you like, brother?
Oh, my goodness, man. When you were touching on the story of the guy, basically when you met the guy and you knew basically what his children wanted, paying for their tuition, and just approaching him that way was so powerful. And again, just like yesterday, it's amazing how the things that I've just somehow picked up on and done naturally all along, when I hear you, I finally have a way to put it into words to be able to relay it back to other people. So thank you.
And listen, Karen, all of this, just like you, I learned this through the School of Hard Knocks. And I love when I read, look, how many of you think National Geographic is a pretty influential magazine, National Geographic? Now, I remember when I was growing up, we'd go to the library and we'd check out National Geographics so we could see the boobies. But that's another story. Look at what National Geographic is doing. The science of how you feel. I've been doing this for 30 years. You know what a bit in my, listen, this is me putting a little notch in my belt. The validation I get that we're talking about this, and I'm telling you, if your business doesn't start talking about this, if your business model, if your company doesn't start talking about this, and you keep talking about the comp plan, and you keep talking about rank advancement instead of emotional advancement, your company's doomed. 20 years, your whole model is going to change. Your whole team is going to change in 20 years, because if this is what's in mainstream now, it's already here. They're just trying to get your eyes. You're already looking for this. Why do you think Mason bought this magazine? Why do you think Mason said, "Oh, this would be good for Daddy"? Because the information is already in your eyes. It's in your heart. And if mainstream is now trying to get you to spend money on something that's already here, what do you think your prospects are waiting to spend money on with you? Something that's already here. They ain't got no money. You know what they need? They need your emotion. They need your love. Okay. Don't get me fired up. Oh, no, get me fired up. Y'all good?
Morning, Sean.
Good morning, Karen Miller.
Yeah, I just thought I would come on here and and share what happened yesterday.
What happened yesterday, girl? You go.
I had an aha moment. It was just aha. I couldn't believe what I did. It's just, I decided I was going to push myself totally out of my comfort zone. So my upline, Greg LaRock, and you know Paula.
Yep.
And I decided, Greg just said, go on Google, write down some professionals and that. You know what? I called them. We had really nice conversations. I had 2 of them calling me back. 2 of them wanted information. And I'm going, this was totally out of my comfort zone. It felt like I was coming alive again. Because I was missing that total one-on-one, it's great to do stuff online, but I miss that connection. And then I was in a coffee shop yesterday. I used to go in there after the gym and sit down and read and have my coffee. And there was a woman, probably a little bit younger than me, and with her friend. And they were talking about some emotional issues their son was having and that. And there was a voice in me that says, Karen, go talk to them. Karen, go. Usually I would ignore it. It was the fear that coming in. But I got up and I'm going, excuse me. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm overhearing that somebody's having emotional issues. So I told them my story and told them I'm taking a happy pill. So I got them kind of laughing on that. But I got their information in that. And it was their son that was really going through stuff. And like I'm starting to bless people. And one other thing, sorry, I know today with Ray Higgins, it's Wednesday. Well, I did mine on Monday. There was a girl on the line, and she's a friend of mine, and I guess I'm not sure. She lost her son. I'm not sure what happened. I know my heart went out to her, and she's been off of work, and she had no money to buy any food. So I decided, okay. So I messaged her. I said, "What's your email address?" She goes, "Why?" I said, "Just give me your email address. I want to give you a gift." So I sent her a bit of money. So that's what I did. And it made me feel good. And I did something for somebody else. I just want to share that with the group. Okay.
Listen, Karen, I appreciate you. And here's the thing, folks. There's people out there just like Karen who are inspired by this profession. She's been around it for a long time. And over the course of the last couple of years, last probably 18 months, she's totally changed the trajectory of her business because her team has fallen in love with her. She's found some amazing mentors and she's found some things to hold her accountable. Listen, we all want to be held accountable. We all want to have some joy in our lives. We all want to have some success in our life, which means we may have to do some things different. There you go. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody, for participating. I appreciate y'all. Go make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a comment there. What'd you learn? What'd you like? There could be a contest being run today. Actually, there will be a contest being run today on what'd you learn? What'd you like on the video on YouTube. Go leave some comments there, and I'll let you know what happens. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits. I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Till then, bye for now. Y'all say bye to each other.
Bye.
Blessings, everyone, and you be a blessing.
Family, have a good day. Take care. God bless.
Have a good day, family. Have a good day.
Care family. Love you all.
You're awesome.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Everybody have a blessed day. Love you all, Misfits.
Have a good one. Have a good one. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you,
Yeah, have a
everybody, for your
blessing.
insight.
Have a blessed one.
Bye.
Thank you.
Morning.